174, the second last line.
Second to the last line. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yes. A will.
Mm-hmm.
So we have seen in these kingdoms of the Godheads of the greater life, there is an aspiration to join finite life, join human life.
Mm-hmm.
But and there's an aspiration to share the fate of perishable things. But did we go through the children of the unembodied gleam? I think we did already.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a will that unpersisting failed worked there. Well, if something does not persist, it's always going to fail.
Mm-hmm.
It's will, no doubt, and the W is capitalized, so it is an important will. But even though it's so important, it's unpersisting,
Mm.
and it's working there, but it's failed.
Right.
And what does he say? He says, life was a search, but finding never came. So we're very clear on that, and we have to go now to the next line, next
Okay.
page.
I'll just start from a will.
Okay.
A will that unpersisting failed worked there. Life was a search, but finding never came.
Yeah,
There.
I would change it a little bit
Mm-hmm.
because you have to have sort of almost a little break.
Mm-hmm.
Line, I would understand the line is a will that unpersisting failed worked there.
Mm-hmm.
See, it's a will that's working there, but it's unpersisting and therefore it fails.
Right.
Put it into a prose sense, we get it a little.
Mm-hmm.
On.
A will that unpersisting failed worked there. Life was a search, but finding never came.
Good.
There, nothing satisfied, but all allured. Things seemed to be that never wholly are. Images were seen that looked like living acts, and symbols hid the sense they claimed to show. Pale dreams grew real to the dreamer's eyes.
So a couple things. You didn't pronounce the D of
Mm.
and you said allured. It's
Allure,
no allured.
allured, ood,
Yeah, urd. We did it.
allured,
We did
right?
it one or two.
Allured, allured,
Allured.
allured,
That's it. You got it.
allured.
So
Okay.
there in that plane of existence, nothing satisfied, and yet everything allured. To allure is to tempt or to attract.
Yeah, to attract. Hmm.
It can also be charmed, but here it means attracted as if by a lure. So it's something that allured. Nothing satisfied, of course, but all allured. And things seemed to be that never wholly are. So it's almost a dream world. And we're going to see a few lines next down that Sri Aurobindo talks about dream. Images were seen that looked like living acts, and symbols hid the sense they claimed to show. So the symbols claim to show some sense, but they're hiding it.
Yeah.
Pale dreams, even pale dreams, grew real to the dreamer's eyes. It's a very strange place, this kingdom. So We see that things seem to be, but they never
They are
hold.
not true.
Yeah. Well, they're not wholly true. Never wholly are.
Can the imaginations come under this domain? Our imaginative thoughts.
I possibly
Hmm.
but you see here now, I'm not too sure that we can see images. So
Mm-hmm.
that look like living acts. And do we see symbols? Do so? I don't think it's exactly on Earth. This is more in that kingdom.
Right.
And now he's going to tell us a lot more, so we have to move on.
The souls came there that vainly strive for birth, and spirits entrapped might wander through all time, yet never find the truth by which they live. All ran like hopes that hunt a lurking chance. Nothing was solid, nothing felt complete. All was unsafe, miraculous, and half true.
I like this. I personally like to just stop at full stops.
Right.
Right.
Oh,
So we'll go through everything now.
yeah.
It's 7 lines, but 6 lines.
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, souls came there. What kind of souls we don't know yet, but they want to strive for birth, but they strive vainly for birth. And spirits, even entrapped spirits, might wander through all time, but never find the truth, yet never find the truth by which they live. So that's one aspect. Now we see also that all man, like hopes that hunt a lurking chance. A lurking chance is a chance that's it exists, but it's unperceived or unsuspected. That's the sense of it.
Mm-hmm.
To lurk is a different sense. Usually, it means to lie in wait as an ambush. But
Mm-hmm.
here, everything is running like hopes that just hunt a lurking chance and an unperceived existing chance or unsuspected.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing solid, nothing complete, all unsafe, miraculous, and half true. So see that it's not a false
Mm-hmm.
darkness that Sri Aurobindo is eventually going to have to go into.
Mm-hmm.
See that souls come there, spirits entrapped wander. They never find the truth by which they live, and everything.
Narad, this line which says, yet never find the truth by which they live, but a lot of like humans also not find the truth by which they live, right? Like a lot of our lives are spent searching for that truth.
Maybe 98% of humanity
Hmm.
fit into the category you're talking about.
Hmm. So does but this line does not apply to them, right? It is talking about that domain of ephemeral life and where nothing is permanent and all that.
Kingdoms and godheads of the greater life. It is a
Hmm.
great life. There's no doubt about it. It's a greater life. We had previously gone through many other different planes.
Yes.
Now we see that nothing was solid here, nothing felt complete, and yet we see that even though everything was unsafe, it was also miraculous and half true. Now, you can continue on a bit.
It seemed a realm of lives that had no base.
Well, it seemed that. We're not too
Right.
sure. It's seen
Right.
the lives that had
That
no
kind of
legs.
ways. Now we'll know what is what.
Find out.
Then dawned a greater seeking, broadened sky, a journey under wings of brooding force.
Ah, capitalized force.
Hmm.
In the hymns to the mystic fire, Sri Aurobindo tells us force is nothing but the power of being in motion. That's what force is, the essential Shakti.
Mm-hmm.
Energy is the working drive of the force, it's active dynamism. So we see that this greater seeking dawned and even broadened sky. And it's a journey under wings of brooding force. Now, brooding is an interesting word because brooding here really means not brooding like the hen broods over her chicks, but it means, in the second definition, meditating or dwelling deeply
Well,
on
mhm.
concept.
First came the kingdom of the morning star. A twilight beauty trembled under its spear, and the throb of promise of a wider life.
Well, this is very important. Huh?
Mm.
Morning star is Venus,
Right.
usually seen just before sunrise in the eastern sky.
Mm-hmm.
So first came, he calls it a kingdom, huh? This kingdom of the morning star. And then he has a colon because he's not finished telling us yet. A twilight beauty trembled under
Under
its
its spear.
sphere of light, and the throb of promise of a wider life.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this
What spear is light.
a spear, yeah, it's like when you see a comet coming
Mm-hmm.
in the sky, it's like a spear that's coming.
Right. Right.
And poets usually use the word spear for rain too. It's
Mm-hmm.
spear is
Spear.
spelled to the earth. So
Right.
yes, so here it's the spear of the light of stone.
Hmm.
And it brings with it the throb of promise of a wider life. Now, Sri Aurobindo tells someone in Letters on Yoga, life is not only a play of forces or a mental experience, but a field for the evolution of the concealed spirit.
Mm-hmm.
In social and political thought, he tells us all life is only a lavish and manifold opportunity given us to discover, realize, express the divine. Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
So here we see that this kingdom of the morning star comes first. And it comes because they're drawn to greater seeking, broadened sky, a journey under wings of brooding force. And so what's going to happen next? We have to find out.
Then slowly rose a great and doubting sun,
And
and in its light she made of self a world.
whoa,
Hmm.
this
But it's
it's a
hmm,
dancing sun. Huh?
yeah.
It's not a great light. It's not an illuminating sun, but it rose after Venus, the morning star, and in its light, in that doubting sun's light, she made of self a world.
What is this she here? Life?
She here, yes, is the. We have to see that it in the previous line, and the throb and promise of a wider life, capital
Mm-hmm.
L, life. So it's definitely life.
Life. A spirit was there that sought for its own deep self, yet was content with fragments pushed in front, and parts of living that belied the whole, but pieced together might one day be true.
Yes, a very complicated thing. The spirit was there. The spirit is there, there's no doubt. That is searching for its
For
own
its
deep.
own deep self.
But that spirit is content with fragments that are pushed in front and parts of living that belied the whole. Belied means shown to be false,
Mm-hmm.
contradicted.
Right. Like, I was watching an interesting video by Alan Watts.
Ah, yes,
He was mentioning that most of our lives are spending doing this, doing that, achieving this, achieving that, that we forget to live in the moment. And then he talks about the importance of non-doing, sometimes life progresses forward by these people who are not doing much, who are not so engrossed in action and swayed by it, but are focused more on the being aspect.
yes.
So
And
that's
so
what.
we have a couple of things here. We have from Wordsworth, getting and spending, we lay waste our powers.
Hmm.
And then there's the yogi who a man is confronting, and the man says, "Well, I eat too." And the yogi says, "Yes, but when you eat, you're thinking of everything else. When I eat, I simply eat." So this is what we're seeing here.
Yeah.
But also, we see that this spirit is seeking for its own deep self. But at this point, it's content with fragments that are
Right.
pushed in front of it. Now, we have so many fragments in our lives too. We have this person's nastiness to us, this challenge in front of us, uh, this illness that we have to face. So these fragments are often pushed in front of us when our whole life should just be an aspiration and nothing more. But then he says, and parts of living that belied the whole. So they belie the whole, they contradict, they're shown to be false of the whole, but pieced together might one day be true. So all these things
Right.
seem to be fragments, parts of.
Like here I see here like a play of like the one and the many. Right now the many seems to be not in sync with the one from which it has come, but we see as fragments of the one, but that many one day might be totally reflect the one.
Yeah,
So
but,
I don't
but
know,
we're,
that thought came
we're
to me.
only in this kingdom and Godheads of
But
the
got
great,
a greater life. We have not come to the supreme yet.
not universal or the transcendental that you're talking.
No, which I always talk about.
Yes. We got a couple minutes more, so I think maybe the good idea that
Would be to read everything.
read everything. Yes. So
Yeah.
why don't you start doing that? You have to go from the previous page, huh?
Yes. A will that unpersisting failed worked there. Life was a search, but finding never came. There nothing satisfied, but all allured. Things
No,
seemed to be
not allured, allured.
allured. allured.
Yes.
I'll read from the beginning because I always mess that word up.
Okay.
A will that unpersisting failed worked there. Life was a search, but finding never came. There, nothing satisfied, but all allured. Things seemed to be there that never wholly are.
Things seem to be that
That
never are.
things seem to be that never wholly are. Images were seen that looked like living acts, and symbols hid the sense they claimed to show. Pale dreams grew real to the dreamer's eyes. The souls came there that vainly strive for birth, and spirits entrapped might wander through all time, yet never find the truth by which they live. All ran like hopes that haunt a lurking chance. Nothing was solid, nothing felt complete. All was unsafe, miraculous, and half true. It seemed a realm of lives that had no base. Then dawned a greater seeking, broadened sky, a journey under wings of brooding force. First came the kingdom of the morning star. A twilight beauty trembled under its spear, and the throb of promise of a wider life. Then slowly rose a great and doubting sun, and in its light she made of self a world. A spirit was there that sought for its own deep self, yet was content with fragments pushed in front, and parts of living that belied the whole, but pieced together might one day be true.
Very good reading. Very good. So I will say goodbye and get my next student. Stay.